I'm just noticing my brother and I just had lunch and there's schmut on the table. And he had a glass of wine. I'm having a cup of coffee. I was thinking about two things, and maybe they're related, I'm not sure, but the first is a Rumi quote. No, this is like maybe my favorite quote ever. Maybe should go on as my headstone. Put down the whip and dance. I just think that's good advice. And while it's my favorite quote, oh, I realized my brother just, for lunch, he totally moved the, oh, maybe it's just as well over this way. Anyways, if the lighting's weird, I apologize. Put down the whip and dance. You know, I'm all in favor of that. I really am. I would vote a team put down the whip every time. But then I realized, you know, in many ways I don't do that. I like it as a slogan, but in my real life, I'm very often whip in hand on myself. And that to me is the meaning of that quote. It's like, use the energy that you would ordinarily use to motivate yourself in a fierce way, or punish yourself for doing it wrong, or whatever it is. Put down that approach in favor of joy. And, you know, as I realized this, I think it was yesterday, I throughout the rest of the day kept, would get flashes of the realization that in some way I had the whip out again. And I even had the whip out for having the whip out, you know. I broke my own rule whether or not I'm allowed to drive myself. So it's just a many-layered thing. Many-layered onion is that. And but I think peeling it back is kind of has been useful for me. You know, in what ways do we sort of punish ourselves? Sometimes under the guise of something that doesn't look like punishment at all. You know, course correcting, but it's actually like, I mean, you can course correct without giving yourself a spanking at the same time. And yeah. So, and the other thing that came up, I started thinking about some of the jobs I've had, you know, because that's a good time to drive yourself. You got to do the work, do the work, do the work. And one of the jobs I have, which was it was the best paying job I'd ever had. It was a union job, so I actually made some money. And it had some prestige. I was working for a wire service, which the AP, which is a wire service, which means, well, it's kind of complicated to explain, but they cover as wide a base as they can, including people who are members of AP. Media, you know, a newspaper or TV station will be members of AP. That means they have access to AP stories, and they can funnel their stories to the Associated. It's the association. It's a really interesting, you know, it isn't the one paper out to beat the other papers. It's a group of papers working cooperatively together and sharing stories and resources. And what the hell is my point in that? Well, Well, I guess that it was a bit more complicated. The thing I'd been doing before had been working for a small weekly newspaper, where I was the only reporter on the, it was one of those. So that was a big jump. Loved the people I worked with. It was a little office because it was the Northern New England Bureau. Gotta love it. So it was interesting. It was just it was kind of the last job I really loved. I guess I could say it that way, except for freelance gardening. Taught me a lot about writing. It's a very clean way of writing. It can be subjective too. There's room for that when you're writing a feature or whatever. And what came to mind this morning, and I'll try to wrap this up because I don't know where this is going, but I was the only woman in the office other than the receptionist. And it was an office of like 8 people, so 9 people, one of whom was the tech guy who helped with the computers. Very early days of computers, very early days of word processors or anything. Nobody had them in their home at that point. And oh my God, you needed a tech guy because it got complicated. But the guy who hired me was wonderful. He sought out women, in particular, to sort of mentor women into the business. I mean, it wasn't like that's all he did, but he managed to gather some great woman reporters when nobody else was really interested in doing that. And he put me in on a feature at the very beginning days of paintball games. Was a new thing, and this was New Hampshire, sort of a live free or die state, pretty conservative, and there was just rumors of this paramilitary games going on in the woods of New Hampshire. I mean, it was bum 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 bum, and so my boss picked me to go. I think he thought it would be just a good angle, to send into apparently this macho paramilitary thing, this 5'2" reporter, female, and it was a great assignment. It was a great piece, and it went on the national wire. You could put it on the regional wire, the Northern New England or all of New England. You could be offering this as a story. This went to the big hub in New York to offer AP, at least nationwide. It was a big deal, and and the fact that I was so ill-suited to it is what made the story interesting. That everybody else was going through the woods, doing their G.I. Joe thing. And, I couldn't run as fast as other people, so I kind of collapsed in a heap at one point. And another guy came along and I had my paintball gun. And nobody told me you have to keep pointing it upright. If you run with it down, the ball falls out. What kind of bogus design is that? So I'm lying there, collapsed because I'm exhausted. It was like 104 and I'm in camo gear with face paint. I mean, the whole thing was so surreal. And there comes a member of the other team. It was like capture the flag, basically, with paintball guns. A member of the other team is coming along, and I'm lying there, not by stealth, just by having collapsed. But I, wondering what I'd do in an even pseudo war game. I got this guy in my sights, and I, aimed for him, possibly for his head, But there was nothing in the gun. So it just went, it made a popping noise. So he knew suddenly I was there. I was like 3 feet away from him on the ground. He happened to have one of the paintball pellets taped to his wrist. He said for hand-to-hand combat. Because if you're smushed with the pellet, you're dead. You're out of the game. So he just, instead of playing me, shooting me back, because these things kind of sting, he just went over and went, and, and he said, nice stalking. Because he thought I was stalking. I was just collapsed. What that has to do with anything, I have no idea, but I think it's a pretty good story. And maybe it has something to do with being I don't know, sort of not taken seriously in a certain way, but having that very thing get you into an interesting assignment where somebody appreciates the fact that you don't quite fit. I don't know. I don't know. There's something there, though. I can almost get my hands around it. The story I wrote was actually quite poignant. I mean, in the sense that what I found there was nothing creepy. I didn't get a creepy vibe. I really didn't. It was play. It was like, it was capture the flag. And instead of tagging somebody by going boosh, you're able to peg them with a paintball, which has a slightly bigger range. But in a different context, paramilitary for real, going, practicing. All right, let's get on with it. And again, how many? Oh, 12. Well, maybe I'll put something in the notes saying you can skip ahead. Taking it, 9 of Pentacles. Independence. Let's just go. Card of Virgo. Card of being real. Getting real, being real. Okay, 2 next. We have Hermit, another Virgo card. That's the trouble with the way the light is. You're not going to be able to see the cards very well. Let me just fiddle with it a little bit. Oh, I turned it all the way off. That's bright. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, that's fine. Hermit. The other card of Virgo. 9 of Pentacles, independent person who knows themselves, who's real, who's stands on their own 2 feet, values themselves. Second card of Virgo, Hermit, the Sage, the Teacher, but somebody who, for whom an essential element is the withdrawal, to kind of get the vision. Hermit withdraws from the mix, from their sort of 3D presence. Here I am, I know myself, and so forth, into the kind of meditative mode, seeking the answers. That's why I went off on AP. While I worked as a reporter from baby reporter days to, graduating to the big leagues in northern New England, I discovered that, in a way, my not my ignorance, but my ability to really be transparent about what I didn't know. You know, I approached people who I was interviewing as that they knew what they were talking about, and I didn't. You know, I wasn't the go after them and try to show them, you know, that. And there, your ability to accept what you don't understand and to pursue the question further is so your friend. That's what gets you the story. You know, your ability to say, I don't quite get that. Can you explain it again? And part of it was maybe a little bit of a hook. You know, explain it to me. I don't quite get it. And even if you did sort of get it, you're eliciting the response. Anyways, the question is everything. And in this, the question is everything. You know, it's not about outsmarting somebody or showing off. It's about the question. And that's what Hermit is also about. The person whose sort of job it is to remove themselves, get their dog out of the game, however you want to look at it, to ask the question and get the answer, not from crowdsourcing it, you know, getting it from higher self, the quiet place, to get the enlightenment. I hadn't looked down. Four of Pentacles. You've got Nine of Pentacles, this sort of abundant, this is going to be interesting, the abundant, self-sufficient one. And here you have a card of holding back. Of blocking, of blockage. To me, it's a card of sort of fear, of a clamping up, a contraction, because you're scared somebody's going to take your stuff, your resources, your what's real to you, what's foundational to you, something like that. It's a card of protection. I mean, I don't know if you can see, but this guy is holding the pentacle over his heart like a shield and wearing it on his hat like a helmet, you know. Here, this depiction, he doesn't look unhappy. He, in fact, looks like he's loving his money. I don't read usually pentacles as money. Guarding his resources, maybe. Three of Swords. Well, that's a reason to hold back. You know, that's a reason to hold back. It's heartbreak. It's separation. It also may have been like going into this protective mode because you think you're going to get hurt. Sword energy. Or you've been hurt. We've all been hurt. And maybe the lesson that the question Hermit is posing is, what happens when you hold back from hurt? You know, what else are you, sorry, I'm going to take a sip. What else are you, you know, if you're in a holding back posture to one thing, I'll block this one, you can end up in a blocked mode. It bleeds into other areas. If you're in denial about just this one selective thing, pretty soon it makes it easier sort of to go for the denial to spread. Tell me more. I just need more on the Four of Pentacles, Three of Swords. Why the holding back? What's the holding back? Oh, wowie. You know, I saw that when the last, I guess it was Three of Swords popped out. This was the next card, and I didn't pull it. It's a complicated card. It tends to open up a fairly big spiel, but let's see if I can just read it for context first. Sorry, I've got itchy. This is attachment. This is blockage. This is this. Capricorn energy, earth energy, pentacles, earth energy. Something that blocks you is this. You know, something that holds you back. Something perhaps that you're obsessed with, that you're trying to hang on to, the other meaning of this. It can be toxicity, codependence. That's sort of implied here. I can't let go. Something in 3D that is, you know, has got me by the I can't think of it. Short hairs. So, and this was clarifying Four of Pentacles, the holding back, Three of Swords, the heartbreak. And it might even be like you're in a protective mode. Because you've experienced a toxic heartbreak. I mean, there was toxicity and hurt and clench all involved. Could be you're holding back from a toxic, trying to protect yourself from the hurt caused by something toxic that you couldn't let go of. I mean, it does have that element. And I'm trying to see if I can flip it to, well, the other thing I think Capricorn isn't always acknowledged for, you know, people go right away to the toxic business. I think it's an energy of a person who can work with what they've identified as toxic. And they can work in a Capricorn fashion. Capricorn is known, it's the hardworking sign of the zodiac in 3D. Like, just like they don't quit, it doesn't stop. They climb they're the sea goat. They climb the mountain. They're the pantheistic, God is everywhere energy. You know, there's a lot to be said for Capricorn that's powerful. And I think one of the powerful sort of superpowers of Capricorn is they can identify shadow. Because that's really what, you know, all that stuff about what's toxic and I can't let go of it and it clings to me and blah, blah. That tends to be aspects of ourselves that we've denied for whatever reason. And there was a little snippet here. Again, I had set it aside to touch base with next time Devil came up. This is Joseph Campbell. You know, the hero's journey and well known for studying myths. My definition of a devil is a god who has not been recognized. That is to say, it's a power in you to which you have not given any expression, and you push it back. And then, like all repressed energy, it builds up and becomes completely dangerous to the position you're trying to hold. I can't unpack the whole thing, but on so many levels that resonates. The position you're trying to hold is Four of Pentacles. The God you haven't recognized. And that's the kind of wisdom hermit energy would come up with. That's an insight. So heavily laden on earth energy here. We have Nine of Pentacles, Hermit, Devil, Four of Pentacles. I think the Four of Pentacles, Devil are two cards of Capricorn, and Nine of Pentacles, Hermit are two cards of Virgo. There's something about that. It's just, tell us about Hermit 9. Both cards of 9, you see. Nine of Pentacles, Hermit is 9 in Major Arcana. The trap, the constraint, what holds you back? Well, exactly so. I just said all those attributes of Capricorn about being able to recognize what holds you back, what keeps you stuck. This is sword energy. So this is being hemmed in, perhaps by a belief system, yours or somebody else's. But it's also the ability, sword energy, to see, to recognize the trap. That's an attribute of Capricorn. I can see, I have clarity about sword energy, the very thing that's holding me back. And Joseph Campbell and Jung and everybody else who kind of works with archetypal stuff would say, until you can see it, you dredge it up, you deal with shadow, because it's what holds you back, what you're not seeing, what you're not acknowledging as part of you. Once you begin to let it come into the, I see what traps me, it transforms it. It really does. And I think that's the teaching of Hermit. And there's a tone to Knight of Pentacles. It's sort of like, I'm here and present, all of me. You know, Knight of Pentacles is not about hiding who you are. It's, I'm good in who I am. And I would suggest even in the dark side, even in shadow, because once you kind of accept the shadow side, you're releasing the divine energy Campbell was talking about. It's a God you haven't accepted yet. And it's the message too that pantheism, pan, everywhere, theism, God stuff. You know, if it's everywhere, it's even in you. As a self-sufficient entity, as somebody who knows themselves and inhabits their own being, it's in you. Hermit says, it's in you. You know, that you're the teacher. You're the one who goes to the mountaintop and comes back illuminated with this lantern, lighting the path for other people. And it's not by denying what holds you back. It's by working with it, Capricorn. She yodeled, but I just think it's such a misunderstood card. So don't get me going. It's also a card of work, right? We were just talking about work. The work that you do. But put down the whip, because there's an element to Capricorn that is the whip. You know, and you need to know what is the punishing aspect of yourself. And get yourself free. We're wrapping it up. Hangman. Am I holding it right side up? Yes. No. It goes this way. You know, This is also Epiphany. It's sort of like, I mean, to me, these cards are very similar. Because Hermit, Virgo, is about time, taking time away to get wisdom. Earth energy is all about time. And this is sort of like to get the epiphany, taking a time out. At the moment, I can't really distinguish between these two energies. But I think it's also a card of surrender. Surrender. Well, because this is a card not so much of being trapped as of thinking you're trapped. You know, thinking you're trapped. I can't get out. Do you know those? It used to be a party favor at kids' parties. It was like a stretchy thing, and you'd put one finger in each end, and then if you tried to pull your fingers out, you couldn't, because it would make tension, so that you were stuck. And the only way to get out would be to not try to pull them out, relax it, and then get out one at a time. There's something like that here. Like, you don't get out of the trap just by struggling. It involves surrender as much as it does this Capricorn energy of work it, work it, work it, work it. You know, it seems to me to get out of the trap, you have to both work hard, work with that stuck energy, but also kind of, I mean, because Capricorn can speak to substance addictions or anything you're addicted to, any habitual thing you turn to that keeps you stuck. It may be an effort to get away, but it keeps you stuck. And, you know, what's one of the principal tenets of AA or groups that work with addiction? Surrender. You know, how do you get out of the trap? That's the mental trap. Maybe the prerequisites are identify it, work with it, but also kind of surrender. I can't get closer to it than that. Surrender. All right, we're going to get, boy, we got to wrap it up. Oh, no, we're doing good. Okay, that's fine. Tell me about the surrender. What are we surrendering? Or what's the epiphany? Knowing something, our shadow has told us something? Yeah, that makes sense. First card up, oh, interesting. First card up, 5 of Swords. I mean, it's that post-traumatic it's stressful. You know, I don't know if it's as high a gear as PTSD, but there's been an exchange, didn't go well, somebody feels like they've won, but it's sort of an empty victory. Out with the King of Pentacles. In that same Pentacles energy as 9 of Pentacles, Hermit, and Capricorn, and Devil. Well, this is like this is mastering that 3D realm. It's king of pentacles. So his realm is the real tangible place. Stable, a care-taking energy, cares for the people within his reach. I love King of Pentacles. I mean, it's the guy who knows how to make people feel safe and secure, which is interesting in that this is the card that came out with it, because this is not safe and secure. This is rattled. This is supremely grounded. And it seems to me, yes, surrendering as part of the process of working with addiction or your shadow or whatever, ultimately grounds you. You know, it brings you out of the mental trap, out of being up in your head, out of thinking you're trapped, out of not being able to think your way out of the trap. Somebody's out of the trap. And this is this weird, stressful energy. And I'm not looking because I always get off on a tangent. Not yet. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Swords. Right next to Five of Swords. So it's a card of truth. Of a new way of looking at things, a new truth. And some kind of personal victory, because ones often speak to the individual. And to me, these are just such opposite energies. You know, the stable, grounded, truthful, reliable, boots on the ground individual, and this kind of mind games. Let's put it that way, mind games. Big time. And then clarity. Okay, tell us about the mind games. I mean, gotta go there. It's contention, it's mind games. Tell me about the mind games, because the epiphany has to do with the truth, the mind games, and this grounded, like I know who I am. Oh my goodness, what do you know? Queen of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles. Well, it's taken a wonderful turn. You've got the King and the Queen on the board, whether that's you and somebody else who's your match. That's one possibility. It's also you becoming your whole self in your equally balanced between your feminine and masculine attributes, because we all have them both. It's Ten of Pentacles. You know, this is like the card of the stable place we can live for a long time. It's legacy, it's security, it's being with your family. So heavily earthed this energy is. I mean, it's stunning. Front and center is the card of Pisces, Hangman, which is water energy, feelings. taking the time to process your feelings. One more on the 5, the contention. Page of Cups. Somebody's sorry for it. It's sort of like, let me kiss the bobo. I mean, 5 of Swords isn't usually nothing, you know. It's coming to blows with somebody. And there's a little kind of, so sorry. I don't really like it. One more on this little, I don't know. I mean, it's a peace offering, it is. Maybe I'm being snidely about it. Oh no, the other 5 of Cups. This is grief. You know, so sorry. I fought you, and I caused you grief and loss. And I apologize. Two 5s is 10. 10 in Major Arcana is a Wheel of Fortune. So the apology may have a way of turning it around. And there's something about moving on from the strife and the grief. 5 of Swords plus Ace of Swords, 6 of Swords, moving on to a calmer place. And is this ever this is like the calm place. This is almost too good to be true place, but it is true. It's Pentacles true. It's I can live here. We can live here. King, Queen of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. And somebody, you know, the hinge here, front and center, is this, I can see it from a different perspective. And it's given me an epiphany. And it might be being able to see, now that I'm stable, I'm able to understand and gain the lesson I held back, or somebody did, because they were hurt. They were being protective. They were being protective. And again, it's the understanding, taking time to process the feelings. Well, if you're doing shadow work, if you're looking at the dark stuff, if you're trying to understand what holds you back and why, that would involve a pant load of this. To sort of be able to extricate yourself from old ways of thinking, old constrictive mindsets. But there's something about, and I made fun of this, and I don't think I'm going to do that again, because I think it's sort of like, there was a tightness, you know, 4 of Pentacles, 5 of Swords, 5 of Cups, this sort of grief, hurt, contraction that gets softened. It gets softened. It addresses the conflict and the loss. And I still think it's a leap, though, From Eight of Swords to this magnificence. Tell me about the leap. I feel like there's a gap that we're missing something. What are we missing here? Okay. Page of Pentacles, the small offer. In Pentacles energy. Like earth, earth, earthy, earth, earth. My chart is sort of like that. Empress, Taurus. Well, and I think it's all the queens. All the queens. And certainly all the earthy queens, like Pentacles. It's the mother of us all. It's Gaia. It's the force of fertility, creativity, and growth. And this is the little pentacle offer. Out of the acorn grows the mighty oak kind of thing. I said, what breaches the gap? Well, this is kind of a mammoth gap between the little tangible offer, the gesture, and the principle of growth. Here's the seed, here's this acorn. What are we going to do with it? To just life force energy. How do we breach the gap? It's a bit like coals to Newcastle, that thing of like bringing, it's kind of poignant to me, bringing this little tangible offer into somebody who embodies the energy of Earth itself. You're bringing in, a Dixie cup of Earth to this situation. It's the microcosm, macrocosm. I guess that's the less snotty way of putting it. Microcosm. And this is the last one up. Sun. To get Empress Sun, everything coming to light and consciousness, opposite of devil shadow energy. This is like, because shadow's what you're not conscious of. You've consigned, like Joseph Campbell said, you've refused to give it a voice. And you've made it dangerous by doing that. Well, this is a card of, it's in the light of day. It's the revelation. It's also happiness, warmth, that fire energy, which otherwise is nowhere on the board. Leo, big time, powerhouse, Empress. So from this little acorn, comes this life force Gaia and this revelatory in the light and the warmth, in life, back in the high life. Back in the high life. Emperor on the split. Emperor, Empress. I'm going to stop right there. Emperor, Empress. Page of Pentacles. Well, this is like some people say power couple. I think that sort of like gives it sort of a bubblegum flavor, and it's not that. This is like absolute complementary energies. One without the other is not quite balanced, whether it's internally or externally. They modify and complete each other. Emperor on his own does just fine, thank you. Empress on her own does just fine, thank you. But you put the two of them together and it's like, well, they find something in each other that they don't find in anyone else. These are each other's equals. In major arcana energy. And it's sort of like, too, this, like, until you own the shadow, you're not whole. Because you're consigning some part of you off to the corner. This is sort of the ultimate expression of wholeness. Whether it's between you and another person or in your own psyche. And there's a building block on the basis of, here comes Rue, of a concrete, some sort of small tangible token that has behind it the power of Empress, Emperor. Rue, don't be a dink. Need one more on page. I'm sorry to keep going back, but I don't, it's such a, and we've been getting that a lot lately as the last punctuating mark. Well, it might be, these are archetypal energies. Page of Pentacles is the beginning of the real thing. You know, it's one thing to relate to somebody on a kind of, you know, through our collective unconscious or through dream space or, you know, in the dreamscape or, and this is the real thing. It might be these big, heavy-hitting divine masculine, divine feminine stepping in as a new page energy into reality. Well, you're going to end up King and Queen of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. Empress is that kind of growth. Knight of Pentacles. The slow growth. You know, the messenger, the bearer of something real. Doesn't come in quickly. Doesn't go out quickly. It's reliable. You know, it doesn't come and go. That's Knight of Wands. And it may be slow. We had this just the other day. It's slow coming into the 3D. It's very powerful connection in the 5D. You know, on some level that's not tangible quite, but is so real and informs our lives. There's a match. But it's slow in like coming into that sun energy, and now I've lost the sun card. That's bizarre. I tucked it back in. I don't know what happened to it. It was there. It was there. Oh, not there. In any case, it's slow coming into that on the surface where we can see it. It's showing up, you know, at long last. And we, you know, if you watch this channel at all, it's like there's a scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I love that movie. It's strange, but it shows, you know, a medieval battlefield, and they're the guys waiting for the army that's going to charge at them. And it keeps showing this army charging, and then the film will snap back, and they'll have these charging again, and then it'll snap back, and so they never really get there because it keeps being reset, and they go back to the beginning. That's a little bit like this. You know, it's coming in. No, it's not really coming in. It's coming in. No, not yet. Ooh. Well, it is, and when it comes in, like the power and the glory. like the power and the glory. I mean, the way that these two are expressed, it's sort of the same, it's the exact same thing. The complementary energies. But in this case, very grounded, very leaning toward Empress side of things. But when it first appears, it may look almost inconsequential, and it's slow, but it leads to Empress, Emperor, King and Queen of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, Ace of Swords. Okay, Major Arcana, we have Taurus in Empress, Emperor is Aries, King and Queen of Pentacles, Pisces in Hangman, Capricorn in the Devil energy, Virgo in Hermit. Power couple, I don't think that begins to, I think that's really that's a silly name for an astounding coupling up. I'm taking my coffee with me. As always, grateful that you're here. Love you guys. Hope this is your reading. And remember that in the very first line, there was the card of holding back and heartbreak. So let's not sugarcoat this. We've got the card of grief. We've got the card of conflict. We've got the card of heartbreak. We've got the card of holding back. We've got the card of the mental trap. It isn't like it's peaches and peaches and cream. There's some hard stuff in here, and some stuck energy, and some toxicity, and some hurt. I mean, but where it's landing is just, I don't even have words for it. I'm out of words. Good thing. This has been a long one. Love you guys. See you next time.